Hey guys, this week we're going to use our drawing that we worked on last week, and we're really going to talk about coloring using crayons, which is something that we've actually never talked about in art here at Clear Creek. We usually use other materials, but since some of us are at home, this is a really good opportunity for us to practice how we can use crayons really to color nicely, to do shading, and how to make our colors nice and even. So we want to start by picking colors for your animal. So most of our animals are going to be using neutral colors, and neutral colors are browns and black, oops, gray, tan, or this is actually called apricot. Um, White is actually a neutral color, but I don't think we're going to use white today since we're using white paper. But for most of you, your animals are going to be neutral colors. If you picked maybe a fox, your fox might be like a reddish orange brown. And so that's what I'm going to do today. Is so I have a fox. I'm going to do some brown, but I'm actually going to mix my crayons. So first what I'm going to do is I always like to outline my shape first, and that usually helps whatever we're coloring to look more 3D or realistic because it's going to have some shading. So it's going to be a little bit darker around the edges and lighter on the inside. I'm also going to actually, now that I'm coloring, I think that this was a skunk, but we're going to color it fox colors, I guess, since I already started. So if you make a mistake, don't freak out. Just figure out a way to fix it or just roll with it. So I'm outlining all of my areas that I'm going to do this color. All right, so I pushed pretty hard for this outline. Now I had my crayon pretty much up and down. Now I'm gonna turn my crayon kind of sideways, and I'm just going to do more of a light coloring inside here. I'm not pushing down very hard, and I'm making sure that I'm getting all the spaces. So I'm just going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. It's kind of like I'm almost like trying to wash the paper or scrub it. I'm just scrubbing back and forth and back and forth. Not hard, just very lightly, making sure that I get everywhere. So now it has nice, even color. I'm gonna go around the edges and kind of make them a little bit darker so it blends in with our outline. Again, this will help to give our animal some more shape and look a little bit more realistic. So I just am making it a little bit darker towards the edges. And then under the neck, usually if you think about it, your neck usually has a shadow on it from your head, right? Because your head is on top of your neck. So usually the neck is a little bit darker. So I'll push a little bit harder here. It's all about the pressure and how hard you push with your crayon. I'm going to do that light, even coloring in the ears here. And there we go. Well, now you can see all that hair that we did kind of got covered up. So I'm going to go ahead and you could either take your whatever color you're using, and you could go over it to make those hairs, or you could use a black crayon. I'm just going to use my brown. I'm pushing down pretty hard so that you can see the fur. You can see as I was adding my hair texture, my crayon broke. I was pushing down a little bit too hard, but if your crayon breaks, that's okay. You can still use it. So I said I was going to mix my colors and do kind of a reddish brown or an orangey brown. So I'm going to I'm actually going to I'm going to do a reddish brown. So I'm going to do that same thing where I turn the crayon kind of on its side, and I'm just going to lightly go over, and it's going to turn my brown a little bit red. I think that you can't really see it on the camera, I guess, can you? Push a little bit harder so you can see. I actually think that when I picked up this red, I didn't look at what it said. So this red is actually violet red. You can see the name of each crayon right here. So this one is a little bit more pink than I was hoping for. But again, you just got to roll with it. Just keep going. All right, so I mixed my red there on top of my brown to get a reddish brown for my fox. So every other section we're going to do kind of the same way. We're going to outline first, pushing pretty hard. I'm going to do the insides of my ears pink and go over your pencil lines nice and dark. And then lightly go over top and fill in that area. Same with if your animal has any patches of color. If it's light like this, your pencil marks might show through. That will help to see the fur a little bit better. And then lightly color over it. Also going to fill in the ears with some brown. But remember, every animal is different, so everybody's colors are going to be a little bit different. What I want you to focus on is adding that dark outline and then coloring lightly inside so that it gives your animal a little more shape and detail. Next, I'm going to go ahead and color in the eyes. If you want to, you can make a part of the eye to keep white so that the eyes look nice and shiny. There are some different ways to do that. Some people make a circle up here and at the bottom. I'm just going to do one at the top. Color in your nose. Same thing, you can make a dark outline and then lightly color in the inside so it looks like it has a little shadow. And then it will be time to move on to the sweater. So for our sweater, we want to talk about some complementary colors. They will help you to pick some colors that will look good together. So complementary colors are actually colors that are across from each other on the color wheel. If we look here at the color wheel, green and red are across from each other. Violet and yellow are across from each other, and orange and blue are across from each other. So those are our 3 sets or pairs of complementary colors. If you didn't know, red and green, that might be why they were picked for Christmas colors, because they are complementary and we know that they look good next to each other. So for my sweater, I'm going to pick complementary colors just so that I know it's going to look nice next to each other. But if you don't want to use complementary colors, you do not have to. This is just a tool that artists use to know that their colors are going to go together. So I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to outline my sweater with a dark, pushing down hard. And then I'm going to lightly color in my sweater area. And as you can notice, as I'm coloring, I'm not going like all different directions. I'm going just back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, just sweeping the area to get a nice even color. If you go around in all different directions, you're going to be able to see those, and it's not going to look so nice and even. So you really want to try and make all of your coloring go in the same direction. And we don't always color like this. Sometimes we don't have as much control. Sometimes we do more of a scribble. Sometimes we don't really care about if we're pushing down hard or soft. But this week we're gonna try and practice control with our crayon so we can get exactly what we want. Once you're done coloring in one area, I'm going to get my other color. I picked the complement or the complementary color of orange, which is blue. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to outline each shape. And then I will go and color them in. You can see that I'm going in and I'm making it a little bit darker around the belly, because usually your arms put a little shadow on the belly of your shirt. So I'm making that part a little bit darker. I also made it a little bit darker here at the top so that it looks more like a shape instead of just a flat drawing. It gives it more of a form, which, as we've talked about before, is more of a 3D shape. So I think that for the people that are here at school, we might use some paint to add color to our background. But if you are not at school, or you're somewhere, maybe you're even at school and we're not using paint, we can also use crayons to add a background for our animal. You want to think about your animal is wearing a sweater, so it's probably somewhere cold. So you can add a background that maybe makes everybody know that it's cold where they are. You could add some designs to the background, or you could add a scene to the background. It is up to you, but I can't wait to see what you guys create, and I hope that you have a lot of fun making this. I'll see you next time.